As an Igbo woman, whenever we talk about deities, Alusi, more masquerades, anything that pertains the Igbo spiritual system, if Igbo mere ordinary and Igbo, the religious spiritual belief of the Igbo people. A lot of my fellow brothers and sisters, Ndị-Igbo, especially Ndị-Igbo na-eje or Ndị-Igbo feel that they have a knowledge about the traditional practices of our ancestors. They find it very uncomfortable to associate themselves with the perception that our ancestors venerated deities, that our ancestors worshipped deities. And this is when comments like this, it's when another person sees it, or maybe this conversation that me and him were already having via my comment session, when he takes it to another platform or to somebody now other a study ordinary from the root, which is ina agbada, ina agana kende dibia, ina aganebe ana gomo, to entertain and to ask them questions, to see what these people are doing, and from there to derive answers to some of these questions. When we take this conversation to another platform, you would see that everybody will going to be like an OS member and agree with the fact that, hey, it wouldn't be bad that our ancestors did not worship deities. Because this question now, if you look at here, you will see that the beginning of this conversation started from him saying that the only recognized deity that we had was Chi and Eke. Now, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. You get, because even when we talk about Chuku is Chuku, not Chuku is more or less associated with long juju, which is Ubini Ubabia in Aro Chuku. Chuku is basically associated with that particular deity. But today we perceive Chuku as the creator of the universe, as Chi Ukun or as Chineke. Now, the two names that quantify the creator in the Igbo traditional spiritual perception is Chi Ukun. Now, the Chi Ukun there becomes the aggregate of all Chis. Now, to Ndị-Igbo, our ancestors believed that you have a Chi. Even an animal has a Chi. A stone, an inanimate object, also has its own Chi. And when you bring together the aggregates of that Chi, all those individual Chi that exist in the collective conscious and unconscious, this is when you will now have the creator, which is Chi Ukun, the superior Chi, the superior creator, the superior deity. Now, the concept of Chi now, Eke is the combination of the divine masculine and the divine feminine to be able to create what we have, life. This is when Chi and Eke comes into the equation. But nonetheless, while our ancestors understood this concept of Chi, Chineke, Chi, they also had deities. Now, this conversation, I was telling this man that I use deities when I want to communicate with a non-Igbo. Like my channel here, I use English because I don't just want to connect with Ndị-Igbo. I also want to connect with everybody that is interested in understanding the Igbo spiritual and traditional system. And this is why I conversate or I explain these things using English language. Now, if I'm communicating in this platform, I use the word deity instead of saying alose or more, because a non-speaking Igbo person will not understand alose or more, except I'm having a one-on-one conversation and I can start to try to explain and to go deep into what all those things mean. So Ndị-Igbo, our ancestors had deities, alose, that they also worshipped and they venerated. So we can see them in what we call Alosibenna. Alosibenna is a particular deity that belongs to a particular lineage. This village, they go to that deity, they venerate that deity, everything pertaining that lineage, they go straight to that particular deity. We also have what we call Alusikune. Alusikune are deities that we see when we talk about the maternal lineage or the maternal family of a person. For instance, I was born in the family of Ejefobiri. from Newi. My mother is from Nemo. Now, what happens here is that the deity that her ancestors, her great-great-grandfathers worshipped, now that deity becomes my Alusi Ipunne. I hope you understood this particular explanation. That deity becomes my Alusi Ipunne. And we also have Alusi Obodo. This is a deity that the entire community venerates and worship. So this is why, unlike most let's say Yoruba spiritual system, where they have Oshun, Yemoja, and Olodumare, and all these general primordials. Now in Igbo cosmology, it is not like that. Deities or primordials that we worship are basically seen in different communities and different lineage. The deity that my lineage venerates and worships will not be the deity that your lineage also worship, except we are from the same umuna or from the same family tree. So when we ask this question of Ndị-Igbo Alusi, Ndị-Igbo Agoru Alusi, the answer is 100% yes. Because when we look at the characteristics of worship, now the characteristics of worship, it's basically talking about the deep reference, connection, and devotion that we have to a higher power, spirit, or a divine essence. Now, when we are talking about deities and spirits, we already know that we have a deep devotion, deep reference to them. So when we're talking about the characteristics of worship, we need to understand that it falls, what we do what we do within the spiritual system of Ndị-Igbo falls under the characteristics of worship, because we have deep devotion, we have reference, we connect to them as entities, Bina Nguru, or our community. Now, other aspects of these characteristics includes reference and respect. Reference and respect. Now, when you come to a shrine, you will, even if you're a person that is very loud or you're a person that is unruly, when you come to a shrine, you are forced to comport yourself, to behave yourself. That animalistic character that you have, that you exhibit in other places, when you come into a shrine, you humble yourself, you begin to revere the essence of whatever that they have in that shrine. At the same time, we also have respect for these deities, because we have some things that we obey, and we do them out of deep reverence and respect for those deities. So you cannot come to a deity or to a shrine or to an environment that belongs to a deity and pee or poo-poo within that area. You would not do that, because you respect what exists with their ancestors, respected them. This is why when they have a sacred tree, they would use something and mark it and say this is a sacred tree, which prevents people from soiling or desecrating that particular environment. Now, another one is communication, or communicating with those deities and the divine, because in our cosmological system, we believe that these deities are also divine. It is religion or the missionary Christianity that came and told us that they are not divine, rather they are demonic. But another characteristic here is that communication with the divine. Now, through this worship or through our Igofo or Egbafa, we are communicating with these spiritual entities. We could use the Egofo system. We can even use music, which is chants, or we can even use meditations to appeal or to converse or to relate or to, basically communicate with these entities and spirits. Now we have offerings and sacrifices. As Ndị-Igbo, an important aspect of our spiritual system ordinary is Ichụaja. There is no ordinary without Ichụaja. Ichụaja is an integral aspect of our spiritual system. We cannot function without it. We have different kinds of Ichụaja. Ilon, which is after performing some sort of rituals, they will gather some certain parts of the animal and they will offer it to the deity. It's a form of eating with their deity. We have Ichụaja Chi, Erawo, ịchụ aja ndị ichie, ibu mmiri, and all these kinds of rituals that we perform. Now, even these deities, they have certain days that they perform certain traditional activity. Like in Nnewi now, we have Ebo Okoka that is performed by Ezemewi Ezedoka every February. Now, before the festival commence, they are going to perform some ritual activities, some sacrifices, and when people are coming to come and offer their obeisance to that deity, they also come with sacrificial items that they are going to also offer to that deity. These are practices that have existed even before we, the new and the younger generation, began to comprehend what ordinary is. Now, another one is rituals and symbolisms, like what I told you. In ordinary, we have sacred spaces and sacred objects, or for Irumo shrines are all sacred spaces and sacred items that we use to venerate these deities. Now, all these things that I'm listing here are part of what makes, or what characteristics of what makes worship a thing. Which means that because our ancestors have these whole characteristics, they had rituals and they had symbols, they communicated with these deities, they revered and they respected them. It all accommodates what we are saying, that Igbo Goro more, Igbo Fere more. We did all these things because these things I'm listing here are all characteristics of worship. Now, if we are trying to say that Ndị-Igbo, our ancestors did not worship deities, we are mistaken, because every practices that we have or we had are pointing out to say that no, we actually did it. We actually worshipped these deities. But I think the modern day revitalists are trying to somehow shift our focus from, trying to say that, our ancestors did not worship these deities, that we only venerated them. These are just semantics. We're just playing with language, we're just playing with words. But the words signify the characteristics of worship or veneration. It is borderline the same thing. And I feel that many people that are having this disgruntled notion about whether Ndị-Igbo Agoru Alusi or whether Ndị-Igbo Alusi are majorly people that have issues with Alusi. Because if you don't have any issue with the concept of Alusi, with the existence of Alusi, I don't think you're going to have, it's never going to be a thing of questioning whether Igbo Agoru Alusi or Efere Alusi. All those things are just inconsequential. We're just trying to create discussions where they are not really necessary. But I just want to use this opportunity, and based on what characteristics of worship entails, I'm here to state unequivocally that Ndị-Igbo, our ancestors, fere more, ani fere Alusi, ani golo Alusi, no matter how you want to structure it. So I hope this little piece of advice or this video helps you to understand that it is not a crime to ego Alusi or whether ancestors fere Alusi, because Alusi in its entirety, without being misrepresented, is an integral part of the Igbo spiritual system, which is not used for bad or for good. It exists as it is, which will not talk about the functions of Alusi, why it comes to existence. All those things contribute to the structure of what an Alusi is, but that will be what we're going to discuss in our next video. So until next time, guys, do well to like this video, comment, subscribe, and to share this video. And if you have any corrections or you want to have let's further this conversation, you can also indicate via the comment section. Guys,